Oh,
And we're back.
hey.
What up, Holmes?
The timing
was
of
funny.
that was incredible.
Yeah, that was great. I think we should just leave it, you know? It adds to the ambience.
It's all good.
Welcome back to another episode. It's me and Chris. Chris,
Hey,
can I
guys.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you have dogs?
No.
No?
No.
Have you ever had dogs? Or, like, been around them?
Yeah. My cousins are really big dog people, and I've, like, taken care of, like, friends' dogs before.
Nice. The furry animals.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I ask, because I've noticed this recent... So I live with two dogs.
Nice.
And I have noticed that for some reason, whenever I want to go and pet and cuddle them, I feel the need to, like, insert my head into their space, you know, to, like, make head contact. So, you know, you put your head on theirs like this. Or while you, like, cup their face and you're like, oh, he's a good boy. And you put your head into their space. And you don't really do it with other people or other creatures, you know. Well, I don't, at least. I don't say hello to my friends and be like, what's up, bro? And just go head first in. But yeah, it was just something that I've noticed that I've been doing. What do you think? Do you think that's weird?
No. I've seen that in, like, movies, right? It seemed to be, like, a way certain cultures shared, like, affection. You know, they would touch heads. Have you never seen that before?
Oh. Actually, you're right. You go, you know, forehead to forehead like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just, like, pressing the whole face. So I feel like, yeah, if you're comfortable with it, I think it's a nice way to show affection.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should start a trend, you know. Like, it's not, I would guess it's probably not the most COVID friendly, being, you know, face to face, but, you know, whatever, roll the dice, see what happens.
Yeah, I think as long as we're wearing masks, I doubt, like, the forehead is the most, like,
True.
dirty place, unless, like, we're always touching it or whatever. But
yeah, you got to then, like, wipe your head, lick your hand, and then you might be in trouble.
yeah, and then wipe your head again.
Yeah, wipe your head again. Then you go to the next person, super spreader, just knocking heads just all around, you know?
Yeah. Even headbutting might be affectionate, like, just a good knock to the forehead.
Yeah, it's always good to shake your brain up a bit.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? Just live life. Just live life 365. I think it would be
Sweet.
good.
So that's an interesting observation you've made.
Thank you.
Your dog.
I think my dogs appreciate it, although sometimes they, like, move their head out the way and they're like, you know, like, no, leave me or whatever, because they're a little bit of a diva sometimes. But I would be hesitant to do it with a cat, because cats tend to claw out.
Yeah,
you know?
they're very sensitive.
Get a nice 3-stripe on your face. But, you know, they're pretty cool too, in their own way. I like to refer to my dogs as Zen Masters, because they're really just, like, living in the moment, you know, just enjoying life as best they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is one of the beautiful things about animals.
Yeah, it really connects you with, like, just the non-craziness of the human world.
Yeah. So simple,
you know what?
so pure.
Exactly, so pure. So here's a topic for us to discuss, all right? I've been thinking about Greek mythology, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you why. Because you know how, like, our minds have different parts that often, like, conflict or fight with each other, right? So, like, one part of you will be like, oh, you should do this. And then another part will be like, no, that's not a good idea. Or, you know, I want to do this, but I also want to do that, but I don't know which one wants to do which one more, right? And so there's a lot of, like, internal conflict and conflicting emotions and whatever it is. And I was thinking that, like, in Greek mythology, the different, like, gods of the pantheon, I think they represent like different emotional states or different like energies that arise in people, and that is one way of conceptualizing what's happening, right? And so when they would talk about like the wars that would happen between the gods, and people would talk about, you know, being I don't know what the right verbiage is, but like being overtaken by the energy of Zeus or Athena or this or that, and being compelled or directed towards doing certain things. I think that that's some form of a conceptualization of what we sort of talk about as like overwhelming emotional states, you know? Whether it's like power or lust or love or, you know, whatever else it is. What are the, you know, gods of, I mean, they had lots of gods of wine, I guess, not really relevant, but
yeah, but like, yeah, you know,
also apparent.
Drunk. But even like the war
exactly.
thing you said, like just like, I guess we call it like cognitive dissonance now. Like that's a popular psychological term.
Yeah, pop culture.
But that makes sense. That's a cool. Is this something you read somewhere, or just you kind of like just theorized yourself?
No, I've just been thinking about it. Because I've just been thinking about like how we conceptualize ourselves to ourselves, you know, and how people interpret their changing of emotional and mental states differently. And I was also thinking about how like people talk about getting possessed by like spirits or like demons or whatever it is, and like what's actually happening in that moment. And you know, it's interesting to like think about how, well, if you're being possessed by something, right? Are you also possessed by like you know, an energy of rage sometimes? You know, people get like overcome with anger and rage, and then they do crazy things, and then afterwards they're like, that was probably not such a good idea, but that they couldn't help it at the time because they were just overcome with that emotion. And it doesn't have to be negative, it could be joy or whatever it is. And so people talk about like being possessed by things and demons, and then there's this idea of like intrusive thoughts. Have you heard of that before?
I mean, I guess, yeah, I've heard of. I can imagine.
Yeah,
what it
I mean,
is,
I think,
but...
yeah, it's a pretty common occurrence where people like have thoughts that they're like, ugh, where did that come from? You know?
Yeah.
Like, and in some sense, if you act out on that, then that's kind of a possession, right? Because it wasn't like the true you, it was just like this movement of energy that flowed through you and in a sense like overtook what you were doing and then reacted in a particular way. And often it's like aggressive, defensive, you know, like violence, or whether it's verbal or physical violence. And then afterwards people are like, no, I mean, I didn't mean to, you know, cut that guy's arm off. Just kind of happened.
That's a
and
little
then maybe
extreme.
You could say, yeah, it's a little extreme, but you know, it's fun. And then maybe you could say, like, if we lived in ancient Greek, you could be like, oh, well, who was the god of war?
Ares.
Ares.
Sure,
you could be
Ares,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, yeah, Ares was the one who sent this energy to me, or who took over and, you know, made me do this kind of thing. Or Athena, or whatever it is for the... Is Athena the love one?
No, that's
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, yeah.
Who's Athena? What'd she do again?
I think she's like Zeus's kind of like woman.
Right. You know what's interesting? Yeah, right. You know what's interesting about Greek mythology, and people bring it up in memes a lot these days, is that Zeus was like quite promiscuous, for lack of a better word.
Right, yeah, he's like slept with everyone.
Yeah. And he just made a lot of like half, you know, demigods with some humans, and
yeah.
As they say in the meme world, the Greek mythology would be a lot less interesting if Zeus stopped sticking his dick into things. But such is the nature of the world, you know?
Yeah. A lot of even a lot of the gods are his kids.
True. I mean, he's the OG,
Yeah, it's so weird.
Who are the three big daddies? It's Zeus, Hades. I mean, not Hades.
No.
Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, the underworld.
Yeah, it is Hades, yeah.
Yeah. Those are the three big OGs, Who would you be if you could be one of them?
Poseidon, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Got that waterborne spirit.
Yeah, I feel like a waterborne spirit, for sure.
When you swim, do you like swimming?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a very strange behavior that we humans do, is we like to just go and chill in water, and then we're like, this is the best. And then we just go out again.
It's true. It's true.
It's very dangerous for us. There's you can't breathe underwater.
I know.
If you swim in the sea, there's sharks and shit, so that could go wrong. But we're like, no, I want to go. Well, another one is lying in the sun. Just like, give me all the sun. And then we're like, I need to be inside water now. But have you heard? So there's a theory that like, there's lots of theories about things, but some people say that when you're underwater, it replicates the environment of the womb. And so it like activates a relaxation inside of you. Your autonomic nervous system like calms down. And so it induces a state of relaxation, particularly if you're floating. Mm-hmm. And people say that you can even do that just by putting your face into water. Washing. Whoosh.
That's interesting. I mean,
what's your favorite body of water?
Your face is like 90% of your entire world.
Yeah.
It's like all of our senses are in like this one space. So I would understand if you would just dunk that part of your body in water. It would just feel like you're completely submerged. So
right, you can just pretend.
Yeah. It's like
you can just be like, psh, ha.
Oh, that
funny. Was a nice dip. Do you have a favorite body of water that you swim in? Rivers, lakes, oceans, swimming pools?
Probably the ocean. Yeah, definitely an ocean. Lakes
Swimming pools
are so cold.
They are cold, eh?
Yeah, lakes are cold.
Particularly in this country.
Yeah. And I like the salt. And I think I like where beaches are. They're warmer places.
Yeah. And just being on the beach is great, I took a walk in, I went with a friend to Scarborough Bluffs, which is this place of like, I don't know what bluffs are technically. I think they're just like hills. Not hills. I don't know. Just like the side of a mountain or something like that. And it's like on a lake beach, because Canada has fake beaches here because there's no ocean. It's just lakes. They call them beaches still, but when you go there and you've been to a real beach, you're like, this is some bullshit. It's nice, but don't call it a beach. Just call it a lake shore, or sitting on the. I suppose you have to say sitting on the beach, but.
I feel like a beach is the sand part and not so much the ocean part. So, but even the sand's fake, right? The sand's definitely fake. Or not fake, but we put it there somehow. Like, I don't think it was like just naturally sand. Or am I wrong about that?
What do you think it was?
Well, I mean, isn't Wasaga Beach like didn't we do that?
Well, I think there are like man-made beaches, but I think for the most part, sand is like sediment from the ocean, and then when the water recedes a certain amount, like the bottom of the ocean stays there, and then there's sand.
Do lakes do that?
Yeah, sometimes. Oh. Sometimes the lake at the edge of the lake, it's like big rocks, right?
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm kind of used to.
If you were to like jump into the lake and swim to the bottom, there'd be sand at the bottom.
Which is true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then if the water level like recedes sufficiently, then there's sand before the water. But man-made beaches are a thing too. If you could, okay, you know how you get black sand beaches? Have you seen those? Those are cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You also get like pink, I've seen, all different colors. What color beach would you want to be on?
Oh shit, purple.
Purple.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Like a deep purple or like a light purple? Nice. Egg purple.
Egg purple.
But you know, people say that purple is the color of God. I've heard people say that before.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why, but
I've never heard that before. I think it's the highest vibrating color spectrum.
what do you mean?
It's like that. I mean that quite literally. It's the highest vibrating color spectrum. So like blue is the slowest vibration. No, sorry, red is the slowest vibration, and purple is the highest vibration. Or I guess white light would be. I don't really know. But like the chakras are also organized like that. Whereas purple is like, the supreme consciousness chakra. But then even
so what are the colors?
Was Roy G. Biv, right? It's
right.
Like if you ever look at like a circle light and then kind of like squint your eyes for a bit, you'll see the rainbow radiate off of it. So it'll be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then like the shades of indigo, and then purple on the farthest. And then I guess white, but it's that all the colors? I don't really know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So do the chakras like line up with the Roy G. Biv?
Yeah, it's Roy G. Biv from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Because they say, I guess, as you go up, they're like higher vibrate, like even like I don't know, consciously or whatever. Like each chakra is like kind of a higher level of instinct or whatever. The bottom being like your sexual instincts and your survival instincts, and then as you go up, it's like more like human, or divine kind of ideas.
Right. So there's there's the, what are they called? There's the root one, that's the bottom one. What, right? Root, red. Then there's sacral, orange, I guess. Then yellow, it would be the
solar plexus.
Solar plexus one. Green, heart. Blue, throat. Is there one between the throat and the head?
Yeah, the third eye.
Oh yeah. What's that, like indigo, I guess? And then violet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, people have lots of like ideas about the shape of the chakras, like how we see them, like internally. Some people say like rotating discs. Other people say like spheres of light or like little pinpoints of light. What do you think about that?
I think I've always kind of saw them as like balls. Yeah, like.
Is that the spinning sound of the spinning?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Cool. I find I can feel it best when I'm chanting and like intentionally like trying to vibrate chakras. It's actually you can really notice it. Like there is some kind of like, there's like centers, there's like places where like this energy coagulates or whatever. That's just what I've noticed, at least.
And so are there different chants for different chakras?
No, I find
match the vibration.
It's like pitch, like what pitch you're singing, like how high or low you sing.
So like the bottom one would be like whoa,
the lowest
like
kind of thing, yeah. And then as you get higher,
how high can you go?
How high can I go? I've actually never like measured it, but pretty high actually.
I don't know if the mic even picked that up. That was so high.
Oh, I heard it.
Oh, you heard it? Okay, good.
Yeah, no, pretty high. But I can also do like overtone singing.
What's that?
I think I can just show you. But basically, like, I sing a fundamental pitch, which would be like hum, and then I change the shape of my mouth, and I isolate higher frequencies. I'll show you. It'll make sense. Hum. Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I heard all of it. That was cool.
Right.
So when you say you change the shape of your mouth, what do you mean? Like opening your lips, or is it like your tongue, or is it just all of it? Airways?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. So like there's a few things, there's like 3 things that can change it. There's the vowels. So this is easiest to hear. You'll kind of hear like the overtones that get isolated go from low to high. It sounds better with just air. You hear that?
That was cool. Yeah.
Those are all like different pitches. Those are specific pitches. Yeah.
Got a bit grumbly at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
So the vowel is one of them.
Yeah.
And then just like how you open or close the back of your throat. Like a sing, you know, that NG sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of them. And then your tongue's another thing. Yeah, your tongue's another thing.
Like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's supposedly
Yeah.
the overtones can vibrate certain parts of your brain and reawaken your pineal gland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is like also known as your third eye, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of that, is that how? What's your experience of like the pineal gland being linked to like imagination in terms of like visualization?
I have no idea.
No?
I think it's kind of like it's cool to think about it and know that like there's like a specific part of the brain that might, you know, do that. But, you know, the best way to like practice visualization or get better at it or is just to use it, right? It's just to visualize things. It's just like imagine things and feel things like that. But in respect to the brain, I've only had one experience where I've like felt my brain in a weird way.
Okay. What happened?
Where was I? I was at a place. I was at a cottage. With some friends. And we did a bit of mushrooms. I think I did quite a bit. I think I did like 2.5. But it wasn't like, it was a very outward one where I was just like interacting with my friends, and my friend had a guitar, and we were just kind of like sitting in the sun and making different noises and singing songs and stuff. And
nice.
There was this one moment where I was just kind of compelled to like make a sound, just sing this sound, just felt right. And it felt as if I was vibrating my brain. Like I felt kind of dust shake off of my brain.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really sick. It was really, really cool. And then it was just
like momentary?
Yeah. It was like, I mean, that's the best way to explain it is like I sang this note, and as I was singing it, it was like vibrating my head, and then it just, And it's as if like all this dust got shook off, and then I could like, it just felt clear. It was really cool.
And then did you like did that maintain afterwards? Like, did you feel that clarity and refreshment after, like, for a while afterwards?
Yeah. No, at least for like the rest of the day, you know?
Right.
At least for the rest, like it was like really noticeable. And I don't know if it was like, it made a permanent change. I mean, I think it definitely made a permanent change. But again, I had like other bad habits that I think got in the way
Shit
after.
happens.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Still a cool experience.
yeah, it's definitely reminded me that like, yeah, the voice like reveals something, you know? It reveals
The spoken
something.
voice.
Yeah. And there's
it does
just
have
like
great power.
Yeah. And it's interconnected with that, like the sound of it and the words we're speaking and the meaning behind, like they're all kind of like one thing, you know? And plus the fact that it's like they're archetypes. You know, we didn't invent letters. We invented the written letter, but the sound, the reality of the sound is something that is just there, you know?
Yeah. It's primordial.
It's primordial, exactly.
Yeah, like the Schumann resonance frequency.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
So if I'm not mistaken, the universe has a certain vibrational frequency that underlies all of existence, and it can be transformed into an audible sound that we can hear. So most of the time you obviously don't hear it, otherwise you wouldn't hear anything else. But so supposedly, you know, all matter like vibrates at a particular frequency, and using certain instruments, and I can't remember what the exact like frequency range of it is, but when you play that and you listen to it, it can like synchronize your brain with the frequency of the universe, and it gives you that sense of connectedness and oneness. I've actually, because I listen to some like binaural beats or whatever when I'm meditating, and I've listened to that a few times, and it's really cool because what happens is, at least in my experience, is that if you stay still, I lie down because my back, I get, if I sit to meditate, I find that all my concentration just goes into trying to stay upright and not slumping, you know?
Quick point is that's the point of yoga, is to be able to sit straight.
Right.
We forget that. Like yoga, like the physical practice of asanas, of movements, the whole point is to get your body to be able to sit for meditation. It's like the third, because yoga is like this 8-part system, and the physical movement, the asanas, are the third, right? And then the next 5 are like different levels of meditation. And so there's this whole section dedicated to just being able to sit straight so you can meditate. So it's a very integral part and difficult thing to achieve also.
That's very interesting because I find it very difficult to sit like, you know, back straight, head over, like straight spine or whatever it is, and then keep that for like an extended period of time without it being uncomfortable or, you know, painful. Because what happens is my natural like bad posture kicks in, and I like, you know, my shoulders curl in and my head comes forward, and I'm like, meh. But so I guess that makes sense because a lot of the yoga practice is about like flexibility in the spine, strengthening the spine, straightening shit out, stretching out, you know, different positions of maintaining core balance. So that makes a lot of sense. Do you think it makes a difference if you meditate sitting down or lying down?
I mean, I don't think like fundamentally, there's a different, like, you know what I mean? Like for the levels of meditation that I think we're aiming at, which is just to calm the mind, usually, I think the majority of us, I don't think it makes a difference. The reason they don't recommend lying down in like yogic practices is because the goal is to like remain in like deep meditation for like 3 to 5 hours. You can't do that lying down. You're going to fall asleep. Right? The lying down is too much of a relaxed position for it to be useful for that kind of thing. Whereas sitting up, like you're still very alert like that with your back straight, you know? And if you can lock yourself into it, you're most likely not going to fall asleep. It's a tough thing, man. Because everything needs to be stretched. Your spine, your back, your gut needs to be relieved of tensions because that can get in the way. Your legs, your hips. It's like, oh my gosh, I still can't do it. I can't sit up straight for very long at all. Which is like,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I find, well, I guess I'm lucky in the sense of like I can't fall asleep on my back just about.
Oh, okay.
So I can like lie down for like 2 hours and not fall asleep if I'm on my back. If I'm on my stomach, then I'll be asleep. But and I see that most people, if they just lie on their back, they're like wake up like, is meditation finished? Feel like I missed it. That's
Exactly.
funny.
But that's cool. So yeah, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right though. It depends on what you're trying to do when you're meditating, right? And like what if there's something you're trying to achieve, and if it's primarily to like quieten the mind and just remain in a state of like alert relaxation, then if you can stay awake, then it doesn't really matter what position you're in. You know, you could even do it walking. They talk about like walking meditations. Yoga is a kind of meditation like that sometimes, where it's like very strenuous, but there's intense focus on just what you're doing and how it feels and the, you know, sensations in the body. And so I think that's a very mind quietening, can be, I guess, experience as well. Like you can do it with just about anything. And then for me, like always the goal of meditation was not the meditation itself, but the ability to put it into practice in everyday life, so that when I'm just moving about in the world, interacting with people, I can have that state of like, you know, relaxed attention, without like mental commentary and judgment and all sorts of like mind chaos or emotional chaos happening at the same time, but still be interactive in the world, you know? For me, like that was the goal of it, rather than just the meditation itself.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess, you know, the good part about it is you get to be subjective. So you get to do whatever works for you. Find which, if any, breath works, position-wise, activity-wise, time-wise, you know. Like however you figure out what works best for you, like that's how I would say you should keep doing it. Yeah,
for sure.
What do you like to do?
I recently started doing Qigong, and I like it.
What's that?
It's a Chinese kind of energy practice. So like in a sense, it's like yoga because it has like movements and positions. You know, there's like a deer one, and I mean, there's thousands of them, and it's like a very general name for a very large thing. Like Tai Chi is part of Qigong, where it's like this movement, right? But Tai Chi is like a martial art. But I found this book recently. There's this woman on YouTube, and I forget her name right now, but I'm sure I'll remember it. But I bought her book, and it's been really cool. her name's Mimi Quo Deemer, and
How do you spell that?
so MIMI KUO/DEEMER. But I like it. It works for me in regards to like compared to yoga, because yoga for me is like too strenuous.
Right.
And I find, honestly, it's like too intense for me to like, for it to be relaxing. My muscles aren't that stretchy, you know?
Yeah.
But Qigong's been really cool because I find it still like opens me up. Like I can release like a lot of body tension. And I feel very in touch. Like my body and my breath have like feel closer together than when I do yoga.
Right.
Because it's definitely like smaller movements.
Is it like holding positions for extended periods of time, or is it more flowy?
It's definitely more flowy. More flowy. There's not a lot of they do have some holding positions. But it's definitely more flowy in general. Yeah.
So do you do it just on YouTube with Mimi, and she just guides you through like how to move and things like that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. And you found it helpful?
Yeah, I found it great. I really enjoyed it.
How often do you do it?
Every day, every morning. I've been doing it for about 2 weeks now. And slowly, like I'm learning more things. And it's like organized seasonally. So it's like each season, there's like a kind of like a different focus, you know? And I've always been fascinated with the Chinese medicine and just philosophy, you know? The Tao Te Ching and the meridians, and that's always been very resonant with me. And I had a bit of experience with it, so it's like I feel like I understand it better than like Indian medicine, like Ayurvedic medicine. Nothing against it. I'm sure it's just as fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's
I wonder what's happening like in China or in like those parts of the world where they're trying to like integrate like ancient medicine with like Western medicine, or biomedicine, I suppose it's called, and how they're like managing to do that. Because I know that there's been like a bunch of studies, like scientific studies on acupuncture or acupressure, and you know that whole like movement of things, which is great because then people can get the benefit of both, right? But I guess at least here, like in Canada, it's still primarily divided, where you can either go to a doctor or you go to a Chinese medicine specialist. And the ways of treating things are different. Like it's cool. I've seen a Chinese, what are they called? TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. And like the way they diagnose things is really cool. Like they, stick your tongue out and they like diagnose shit according to all sorts of things on your tongue. They like feel things in your hand. Like you can diagnose according to like your heart, the rhythm of your heartbeat. So like they're trained to like feel different pulsations or things like that. Like just shit that, like biomedicine just hasn't got to yet, or they're not doing it. They do other things. They'll like look inside of you and take x-rays and do cool things like that. Which is great because, I don't know if like in TCM they can set bones and do surgeries and things like that. So there's definitely a place for both in the world. But yeah, it is. It's just it's interesting to have an experience of like going to a Chinese medicine doctor, because it's just a different approach to everything, right? They're much more holistic. They treat you as like a person rather than treating the condition or a symptom that the person has, right? So it's like maybe your energy pathways are blocked or something, this or that, like the meridian thing, it's linked to different organs, and there's different symptoms of, disorders according to what's going well or not so well. And what's crazy is that, like, I mean, not crazy, but it's just, it's been a practice for like thousands of years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so there've been people who have been trained in it every generation, like masters, and who continue to practice and teach and help people. And I mean, there's obviously something to it. Otherwise, it would have stopped a long time ago. You know, if it didn't work, I mean, at some point, someone would have been like, let's just call it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not like a new thing that people are like, oh, I'll try this. It's like, no. Like, people have been using this to treat them. And I think it's true of all, like, quote unquote ancient medicine, right? Like, as you say, like, there's the Indian one, then you get like traditional, like, native medicines, particularly like they do like plant medicine stuff. And I'm sure most cultures, I don't know about most, but many cultures that are age-old cultures have that kind of thing. But you know, it's interesting. I just thought about this. Judaism, because I'm a Jew, represent, you know, it's a pretty old culture. It's, you know, 5,500, 6,000 years old at least. And there's no medical, like, part of it for some reason. At least not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm sure there's talk about medicine and health and healing and things like that. I mean, there is, right? But it's not in the, like, kind of medical sense that we think of, where they are like doctors or specialists, you know. It's mostly just like a religious wisdom teaching that gets passed down. Whereas like on the Chinese side or the Indian side, there's the wisdom tradition, and then there's also the, like, you know, cultural, like, traditions of like the medicine and the all the energy systems and that kind of thing. So I wonder, it's just interesting to think about, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really notice that before. I mean,
Happy Easter, by the way.
Oh yeah, thanks. Happy Easter to you too.
Thank you. Shout out to, you know, the Easter celebrations.
Yes.
Hunt some eggs, whatever.
Yes. Spend time with
Do you know why are eggs relevant to Easter? Do you know?
I have no idea.
No?
I mean probably because somehow the bunny got connected to it, and bunnies... Wait, no,
right.
Bunnies don't even make eggs. This doesn't make any sense. Oh,
yeah, man. I mean, it's about, you know, the resurrection, well, the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, and then also about some eggs.
Whack. I mean, eggs
guess
are pretty cool, but...
Yeah, eggs are pretty cool. Maybe, like, I guess we could add some symbolism to it to be like they're symbolic of life, you know?
For sure, yeah. For sure.
Like in Judaism, they do that sometimes. The egg is it's a symbol of life. They also have round bread to symbolize that sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's regular bread. They just shape it
in a round,
circle.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not its own thing. That would be funny. Do you want some round bread? Like a frisbee, throw.
Is it kind of like just like a circle pretzel, or is it more like bread?
No, so have you ever seen like so on Friday nights there's like a traditional bread called a challah, which is like woven. They like weave it so that it looks like a braid.
Right, so good. I've eaten that before.
Yeah, it's really good. It's actually like egg. It's an egg bread. So not all bread has egg in it, but this one does. And then when they make the circle ones, they basically they make that kind of thing, but then they shape it into a circle.
Oh, I
see. It's roughly the same thing. It's just circular.
Challah.
Still good. Yeah. Oh, actually, no, you know what? Do they braid it into a circle, or do they just shape it into a circle? That's a good question. I don't know. I got some Jews to ask. I'll get back to you on that.
Looking forward to the update.
How are your Easter celebrations? Good.
Yeah.
What do you do?
They were good. I just went over to my grandparents' house.
Nice. Spend time with fam.
Yeah, both of them have like half of the COVID
vaccine.
vaccine, not the
Yeah.
they have the vaccine, so they're still waiting on the second part of it.
Right.
So yeah, we were
That's
just
good.
we were just hanging out, eating food. It was a beautiful day. I think it was a Saturday or something. It was like stunning.
Nice.
It was so warm. So we're
Yeah,
outside.
it's about bloody time, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like this happens with the weather in Canada. Every time it reaches March or April, I'm just like, it just needs to warm up now. Like, I know it's going to get cold again, but just like, it would be nice if it was like 10 degrees warmer, just so that we can sit outside.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just for that. I just want to eat outside. I just want to sip my coffee outside. I just want
that ice wind is piercing.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
That shit will freeze your brain.
And you have to sing.
What's the coldest you've ever been in? Like the coldest weather temperature?
I don't know. I don't know. Like Canadian, like minus 15 or something. I don't think I've been anywhere colder than Canada.
No, I didn't mean like a place specifically. I just meant more like what temperature. Because I remember when when we emigrated with my family to Canada. So it was just after I finished high school, and so I was going into university, and I moved into the residence at university halfway through the year. So it was in January so it was for the second semester. So I lived at home for the first semester. And the day that I was moving into residence, it was like -30, and with a wind chill, it felt like -40, and it was just ridiculous.
Welcome to Canada.
Yeah, and that was my first winter, like real winter, because in South Africa the winter's above zero most of the time, so it's like a different story. But you feel that shit, and I had to move furniture, and we had to do all that kind of stuff, and it was rough, but it was okay. But it's just like you can't. I feel like your mind just stops working when it's that cold, and you're just like, and you just suffer in that moment where there's, mental noise shuts down, and you're just like, this is so cold, and everything just kind of like slows down. It's a pretty wild experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your eyeballs freeze. I remember that. Or it feels like it, at least. They don't really, but it feels like it. Do you know who Wim Hof is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wim Hof, for anyone who doesn't know, is the guy he's the Iceman. And he's mastered the cold, basically. And he uses breath work primarily to do that. And that he climbs mountains. I think he climbed Everest in his shorts. Yeah. And he took a group of people, or numerous groups of people. So it's not just like he's some guy who can do these magical things. He just teaches people how to do it, and it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And so there's a story of when one time he was trying to break the world record for the furthest distance swum underneath a sheet of ice, right? Which is, everyone's got their achievements, and he was like, this sounds good, I can do this. Everyone else was in like the Canada Geese jackets and just like shaking. The cameramen were probably like trying to focus, and he was just in his like shorts, and he jumped into an ice. They like cut a hole in the ice, 2 holes, like the distance that he had to swim. But the deal with it was that it was like free swimming, so he wasn't like on wires or attached to anything. There were divers in the water like for safety. But anyway, so what happened was when he was doing it, as he like started to swim in these like Arctic waters, his retinas froze because he wasn't wearing goggles, or maybe the water got into his goggles or something, and his retinas froze and he couldn't see. Like his vision stopped working, right? And so now he's swimming under the ice with no vision. And I mean, can you imagine something more like scary than that? Have you heard the story before?
Yeah.
And
wild.
It's so crazy. Now, he was like, oh, okay. I mean, when he recounts the story, he's like, all right, I'm just going to swim he knows how many strokes he has to take basically before he reaches the hole. And then, so he did that, but then when he like reached up, it wasn't there. So he like tried to backtrack. And then he basically like couldn't find the hole. And he describes this moment of like, where he basically realized like, oh, I'm going to die. He didn't, but there was a few moments of like, this is the end, right? And for him, he said the experience was just completely peaceful. He was like in that acceptance of what was happening. You know, there was no panic, there was no suffering. It was just like an acceptance of what's happening, right? And then a diver grabbed him and pulled him, and so he did survive. But you know, the main point of that story was that your eyes can freeze if it gets too cold, and that would suck.
Yeah, but that takes really severe conditions, I think.
Yeah. People do crazy things, man, like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like David Blaine is one of my favorite people in the world because his like performances of like human endurance are just like unparalleled, and he just survives, and I'm just like, you know, that's super cool. To me, that's like more impressive than his like illusions, because he's like really testing the feat of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to do it, but I also kind of am like, it's not really my type. I like, you know,
if you
I'm
like,
more
you know,
like
if it
chilled.
doesn't, you don't need to do anything. Other people can
No,
prove
I know.
it for
I
you.
mean,
You know,
yeah,
it's like, oh,
just be
you
like,
can do
oh,
that?
yeah.
Oh, shit, look, I can do that too. That's awesome.
I could probably do that too if I trained, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Give me a year, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to be in the Olympics? Just give me some time, you know? Just loosen up a bit, get some training in, and then I'll, you know, perform at optimum human level functioning.
When are the next Olympics?
When are the next Olympics? Good question. I think that they were cancelled because of the COVID, and so they're probably on hold until, I don't know, at some point when it's deemed safe to host again.
Right, it was supposed to be this year, wasn't it? Or last year,
Yeah.
2020.
Last year, Tokyo.
Right.
And I think that they had planned to continue going through with it until like a week before, when everyone was just like, And then, so yeah, I mean, you know, for the athletes, I feel for them, because they have to now like go through all more training cycles and conditioning cycles, and, you know, they were ready to be there, and then now they're like, nope, indefinite amount of time in the future, you will start again.
Yeah. Sucks.
But, you know, things are looking up, I would say, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think they're
Hopefully.
going to get worse. I don't think they're going to get
I hope so.
incredibly worse, you know. It'll just take
How many keyboards? How many keyboards can you play at once?
Well, 2, yeah.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried? Do you do 2 at once? Like,
I don't. Yeah. I do this all the time. Like now that I have it set up like this, I just bought this new stand so I can keep them both hanging out. And yeah, no, it works. You can play chords here, or melodies here, or like bass lines here and stuff. You know what I mean? It's really cool. It's quite fun.
that's super cool.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, I can't wrap my head around my 2 hands doing different things at the same time.
No, I get that.
That I know what's happening with both of them. I mean, I guess it's a practice thing, but
yeah, I have no idea. I don't know how to explain it.
yeah,
I remember when I was first doing it and how hard it was.
Yeah.
But then I just forgot. I don't know. It's just like one day you can do it. And you're like, oh, okay, I can do it. And then once that thought is gone, like it's hard, then you're fine, you know? You know, because that's usually the biggest obstacles to anything we do is like our thoughts being like, oh, I can't do this, or this is too hard, or blah, 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 blah. Right? So once that was gone, and I was like 8 or 7, I haven't really thought about it since.
What's your earliest memory? Do you have an early memory?
Yeah, a few. See, the thing, I don't know. Number one, I can't organize them. Like, I don't know, I was 3 here, or I was 4 here, or whatever. I remember being in like my first house, like sitting on the couch or whatever. Like, I remember these things. I remember eating breakfast. Like, I remember what everything looks like. But again, I don't know how old I was.
I'm good. I'm just dying. I choked on water. Sorry to interrupt your story.
No, it's all good. That was an interesting question.
Yeah, you remember being in your house?
I remember being born.
Sorry. Eating breakfast. You remember being birthed.
Yeah, I remember seeing the light.
What was in the light? The doctor's hands just grabbing you and pulling you out.
Yeah.
What a great moment.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The world was
I'm back,
blessed with
bitches.
Yeah. Holla.
Holla.
It's a great first word to, first sentence to come out. You pop out the womb and you're like, I'm back. Guess what's up? You know? What are we doing today? Like, you know, what's going on?
That's pretty much how it went, yeah.
Sorry, I derailed your story with my, coughing situation. I asked the question because, like, I don't have a lot of early memories for some reason. And so I'm always interested to hear how far back people can remember. Like, my sister's really good at it. She can remember shit from when she was, like, really young as well. But for me, I'm like, the memories I have are kind of like based in stories that I've been told or pictures that I've seen.
Right,
and then
right.
I can animate them a little bit, like being in the garden with the dogs or being in certain houses or whatever it is. Yeah, but luckily when I started coughing, I lost my train of thought completely. So here we are. I feel like a failure of a human when I choke on water a little bit because I'm like, I should know how to swallow and breathe and not breathe while I'm doing that. And yet sometimes my body just breathes when there's water and then we're like, no, this was a bad idea.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. It's we have
it's
no idea how this works.
It's momentary. We have
no idea how this works. It's fine. Swallow.
It's worse when it's just on like spit, because then you're not even doing anything except just being, and all of a sudden,
you're killing yourself.
Right. Sometimes when I'm walking, one of my legs just like temporarily gives out, and so I have a little like wobble, and I'm like, that was just a bad malfunction,
Yeah. No, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there.
It feels very silly.
Yeah.
I'm not like critical of myself, but I do feel like that shit shouldn't happen.
It's a silly thing.
Yeah. Or when people eat too quickly and then they forget to breathe, and then they're like and then they keep eating. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot I also have to. I've
never seen that. Are you serious?
Yeah, it happens.
And I've never seen it. Why aren't you breathing in your nose? I don't get that.
I don't know. I've just witnessed it a few times. People just like yum 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 yum, and then there's like a moment of pause, and then they just keep eating. Like, they don't process it most of the time, but if you watch it happen, it's very amusing.
That's funny. I've never seen that.
Lots of people try to talk when they eat and end up choking, and I'm always like, you should know better. You're an adult.
That's
Get
a
it
common
together.
one.
Yeah. That's funny.
We're always pretty busy when we eat. We're always pretty busy. True. When I was doing the Vipassana meditation, we had to eat in silence. That's a strange thing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's quite nice. It's also quite nice, because I find like it's like, it's really nice to like just completely pay attention to like your food and just like the moment while you're eating. It's like really nice. You can really relax.
Once you get past Yeah. Once you get past the awkwardness.
Exactly, right? And plus, like, we all have to do that. So it's not just like, I'm the only one not talking. Like, we all have to stay quiet. So it's just like, yeah, we get it, you know? So you share glances and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's pretty cool. Was this
like on a retreat?
Yeah.
How long was it for?
I went for
a couple days.
5 days.
No speaking, 5 days.
No speaking.
How did it go?
It's really cool. It sucks most of the time, but it's cool.
It sucks not to be able to speak.
Well, like, you can't do anything. You can't write. You can't listen to music. You know, all you're doing all day is meditating, you know?
It's intense.
Like, so that can get boring, but like, that's part of it, is like the boredom. But then there's also like these really cool moments in it, like really nice moments in it. So it's like this like vibration, right? But I found after was like the best part. Like right after, I've never been more relaxed in my life. And then it was like the first time I realized that like most of the shit I do causes me stress. Like the way I was thinking, and just like, again, always being distracted, like always doing like more than one thing at a time, you know, even if it's subtle.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, and it causes like,
most of our suffering is from our own thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Once you just like let them just kind of like flow away, it's like really nice just to be present.
That's true. I would love to do something like that. I think it's a really cool thing. Probably difficult, but it's good to experience new things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And 5 days is like the middle. They offer like 3-day ones as well, like a weekend. The food's great, super comfy beds. I'll let you know. It's in Toronto. It's on like St. Clair West and Bloor or something like that.
Oh, cool. Oh, it's not like a retreat like in the woods.
No. They just like, they have this house. So like while you're meditating, you're watching people go to work and come back from work, and school buses come, and it's interesting. That's a cool experience.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a great experience, like in addition to like being in nature by yourself, you know, where there are like different vibes of like watching the world go by. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you as always. I think we can wrap up for the day.
Sounds good. My pleasure.
Go jam some music.
Oh yeah.
Qigong. Can you do a move for us quick? What's like one of the moves? Like a Qigong move, you know?
Oh, Qigong.
Qigong, sorry. Not like chai tea. Like
What?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
This is all the space
Strap
we
in.
got. So this is the one I learned today. So you chill out, right? I'll do it like an angle. You chill out, right? You just chilling. Hands here. And this is like, it's like this standing position where you just gently kind of like feel your breath move in and out, right? And then this one, this one's kind of cool. So it's called opening the gates. So you breathe in and you press your elbows back. And then as you breathe out, you reach forward. You kind of do like that.
Feel some nice cracks.
And then you just like, and it's like, if you really get into it, it's like starts to stretch your spine and whatnot. But then there's just like general ones.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to do it today. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. I'll send you one of our videos and you can check it out.
Oh, sweet. All right. Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.